Welcome, everybody. This is part 3 or episode 3 of Those Without Names from the yuucie free games. This is a really great story. It's about number 8 and 7 and 0 and 13. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to have to go back and watch the other videos. But she can't remember who she is. Nobody can. They have to relive memories in order to eventually gain access to other memories so that they can leave the place that they're at. They don't know where they are. They don't know what happened, what's going on. So she's had a couple memories now. Just waking up from another one. Looks like we are about to enter into another segment here. So, as a child, my punishment was always getting locked in the closet. As soon as I click on here. The first time I was put in there, I screamed until my throat was raw. I couldn't see anything, and the space was cramped and small. I felt like I was suffocating slowly. The walls kept growing smaller. I screamed and kicked at the door and cried until I had no energy left, and then I just sobbed uncontrollably. It never got better. My dad had to drag or carry me in, and I fought with everything I could not to be locked inside. I always screamed, I always cried. The suffocating feeling was always there, and each time I truly believed I would die. Why should that have changed? The darkness and the small, cramped space never did. One day, I fought with my brother. Angry and too young to know any better, I scratched him. His arm bled a little, and I was put in the closet. Once I was inside, I screamed, this time with pure terror. It didn't matter how much I apologized. I was to be in the closet until my punishment time was up. I sobbed and screamed and cried until my throat was dry and raw. After a while, someone knocked on the door. It was my brother. Are you okay? I sobbed loudly in reply. The walls were crushing me. The darkness was suffocating me. It's okay. It's okay. His voice was so near. I hung on to it desperately, and even though my body didn't stop shaking, it felt just a little bit better. Don't be scared. I'm here. He was asking the impossible. Long after I grew up and was too old to be punished, I would always be scared of small spaces. I would always be afraid of the walls and the darkness and the space where I couldn't move and breathe and think and scream. I'm here. He patted the door as if he was patting my head. I started crying again, wishing I was outside and safe. He kept patting the door, hoping it would make me feel better, and succeeding just a little. It'll be okay. I'm here. Oh, we're back on time. For the first time since I came back to this place, I saw a memory that frightened me. First, I looked for my brother, and when I couldn't find him, I went to 7. She listened to me and patted my head gently, just like what my brother did in the closet door. You have a good brother. Her voice was soft and comforted me. I felt relieved, but a little lonely at the same time. She reminded me of home. I wonder if she's really her mother. I know. She smiled at my answer before returning to her knitting, with a distant, thoughtful look on her face. I watched her as she knitted, her expression clearing as if she finally realized something. It wasn't long before she disappeared into a memory, and I was left alone again. I think it's her mother, and her mother knows who her child is. This time it was my brother who was looking for me. He found me outside lying on the grass to stop myself from falling up. He sat beside me and looked directly at me strangely. I thought you hated it out here. I don't hate it. It just scares me a little. Then why are you out here by yourself? Because when I'm out here, I don't feel like I'm suffocating. He fell silent. After a while, he scooted over and lay down next to me. The closet. I nodded, my throat tightening at the thought. I'm here. It'd been a long time since he had to say that. I swallowed back my tears and smiled. I know. We looked up at the earth, the clouds swirling slowly on the surface. It was so impressively detailed, so real, so very much alive. Even if I was afraid of it, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Why do you think it's Earth in the sky? What do you mean? It could be anything up here, but it's Earth. I mulled over his question. You sound as though you already have a theory. I do. He paused for a moment, glancing at me before looking back up. I think it's telling us we're no longer there. I swallowed back my smile, realizing from his tone that he wasn't just stating the obvious. What are you trying to say? He hesitated, like it was difficult for him to say. When he finally spoke, he sounded careful, like he was choosing his words not to upset me. I don't think this is just a dream. And I don't think it's just a dream Earth. I didn't like where he was going, and I felt my stomach knot comfortably, excuse me. That's stupid. You don't really believe in this all real, do you? I sounded more snappish than intended, and he noticed. He let out a sigh. It's just a hunch, okay? But there are things you can't explain just by saying it's a dream. Like what? If this is a dream, and we're aware of it, we'd be lucid dreaming. You're supposed to be able to control your dreams. Sometimes you can't, but that's because you're not completely aware of it. I feel quite alert, save for not remembering my name and some things. How about you? I didn't answer. He was right. I was more alert than I was usually in any dream. In fact, this was the first time I had ever had such a vivid, detailed, and coherent dream. The implications behind his words frightened me. I wish for some things, like I really want pizza and it shows up in the rooms. Of course, I can't taste any of it, so it's pointless, but it appears when I wish for it. Because it's a dream. Yeah, but I wish for other things too, and they're not granted. I wish to see Mom, even Dad. I wished for my friends. The silence stretched between us. I knew his wish didn't come true, because sometimes I wished for the same thing. I wished for people that I couldn't find in this place, people I could only see back home. All of a sudden, the Earth didn't seem that close anymore. Right now, it looks so impossibly far away. You're the only person here that I know. His voice was so quiet that it was almost lost to the wind and the sky, but his words stuck in my mind for a long time. It hurt. My whole body seared with pain. I couldn't move. Something was pinning me down. Help, I tried to say. My throat was choked up with liquid terror. I couldn't move. The space was too small. I couldn't see anything. It was too dark. I tried desperately to move my body, but I couldn't move. It was too small, too cramped. I tried to scream. Help me! The walls were literally crushing me, blinding me with white pain. I never felt so much pure terror in my life. I want to be outside. I want to be safe. I struggled to breathe, but all I could do was gasp and choke. My whole body was shaking from pain and stress. The liquid choking me was tasting like metal. I could smell blood. I could smell metal and dirt and gasoline and blood. Help! It hurts! Please, someone help me! I swallowed the thick liquid and gasped again, but it came out as a terrified sob. I couldn't breathe. The space was too small. I don't want to die. My breaths were ragged and desperate, tearing at my throat. I couldn't move. I couldn't tell if it was because I was being crushed by the walls around me or if it was being crushed by my own sheer terror. Scary. The heck was that about? I screamed myself out. My cheeks were completely wet. I wiped them and realized how badly my hands were shaking. A dream. It was just a dream. I didn't recognize it. It wasn't a memory of mine. Just a dream. I'm okay. I'm alright. My throat was too tight. I was still gasping for air. I struggled to get my breath under control as I tried to stop crying. My room was wide and bright, spacious and clear of clutter. I finally understood why. Just like the rooms that changed depending on who was inside, my room reflected my wishes. But it couldn't give me what I really wanted. I wanted to wake up and go home. Now the emptiness, pure white color that used to comfort me and made me so terrifying alone. Unable to stand it any longer, I left my room. I went 5 doors down from my room and knocked. My hands were still trembling and I couldn't stop it. He might not even be inside. There was no schedule in this place, no pattern that anyone could follow here. He might not even be here anymore. He might be already gone. The thoughts buzzed my mind, screaming through the silence. I was about to leave when my brother opened the door, looking dazed like as though I caught him out of a drift off. He saw the tears in my face and immediately grew alert. What happened? May I come in? I sobbed more than asked, and he stepped aside to let me in. She's so scared. We hadn't shared the same room since I was 6. Is she having another one? It was hard to adjust at first, so he let me sleep in his room when I had nightmares. I couldn't help but remember that as my brother got back into his bed, he rolled over on his side, his back facing me as I crawled under the sheets. I sobbed quietly. I felt his back against mine, comforting. In this place, there was nothing of home could be wished for. No matter how desperately you wanted, my brother was here. The closet? My brother asked, sounding gentler. The nightmares of the closet never left me, even though it had been many years since. I shook my head, wiping the tears off my face. Worse. I remembered the excruciating pain and the smell of blood and metal. I remember the walls closing in tightly around me, crushing my body down into the ground. But most of all, I remember the cold terror of helplessness and not wanting to die. I had a dream. When my brother didn't reply, I continued. I think I was dying. I heard him draw a breath quietly. Ooh, I know that breath. You're okay now. He reassured me, and though it was such an obvious thing that I felt so really, I think he had the same dream. Do you mind if I stay here for a while? Sure. I closed my eyes and focused my breathing. After a while, I heard my brother's voice. It'll be okay. I'm here. I nodded, relaxing my body. It took a long time, but I finally felt safe again. I might not be able to wake up just yet, but I wasn't alone, and for that, I felt immensely grateful. I know. That was scary, huh? 7 had her awakening. Ooh. I saw her as I walked down the hall and immediately knew the moment I saw her face. One of her eyes was clear instead of dark, shadowed like look everyone else had. Her eye was bright and alert. She saw me and smiled. Hello, 8. I swallowed hard as I walked up. You're awake. Soon, I want to thank you. Me? I looked at her in confusion and she patted my head gently. It's all thanks to you that I can finally let go. What do you mean? She was fading in front of me, but not the same way as when she was going under a memory. She was turning into light. My throat tightened as I watched her body break into small, bright particles and floating up in the air. This time I knew I wouldn't see her again. I realized my children are not alone, even if I'm not around. They have each other to lean on, just like you and Zero. They leaned on each other, their strength. Their strength. I know that now. That's why I can rest easy. Thank you, 8. Wait, 7. She can rest easy. Is she dead? Tears blurred my vision as she took my hand gently. It's time for me to go, but I want you to know my name. My name is Mi-Ling. Mi-Ling. Mi-Ling smiled, her happiness glowing on her face. She was so transparent that I couldn't focus on her outline anymore. I have to go. Goodbye, 8. A burst of light particles later, she was gone. I told my brother, who told 13. 13 was ecstatic. Gosh, I can't wait to wake too. I hope I'm next. This place is great and all, but I want to leave as soon as possible. You get me? Yeah. My brother answered, but he didn't sound like he was listening to 13. Instead, he seemed deep in thought. 13 rolled his eyes and faced me. He's spacing out. How about you? Can't wait to wake up either, right? I didn't answer. All I could think of was Mei Ling disappearing into light, floating high and away. I thought about the crinkles in her eyes when she smiled, the ones that reminded me of crow's feet. I thought about the sound of her knitting needles as I dozed in her room. I looked at my brother and tried to imagine him turning into light too. Man, why'd you two clam up all of a sudden? He sighed and gave up, throwing himself down into the studio couch. I just want to leave. You can't wish for anything, almost anything, except the things you really want. Can't taste a thing, can't feel a thing, can't do anything interesting. Drives you mad. You just keep rewinding through your life over and over until you remember your name. If you ever do, that's no way to live. I ain't interested in reliving something I've already been through once. I want to make new memories, not look at old ones. I want to really live, you know? I can't be stuck here forever. His voice floated after me, listing his complaints as I left the studio. My brother joined me later outside. He sat down behind me and leaned his back against mine. You okay? I tucked at the grass beneath my feet. I miss her. Who, 7? Mei Ling. We were silent for a while, me pulling up grass that kept growing back and him leaning against me to look at the sky. You two were pretty close considering how hard you found it to talk to strangers. She was nice. She didn't talk much. She listened. Sometimes we walked and it felt okay. But the surprising thing is, even if we didn't talk, it was alright too. I stopped pulling up the grass. It was pointless trying to tear something down when it was just keep growing back so rapidly. She reminded me of home. My brother didn't speak. I sniffed a little and rubbed my nose with my sleeve. I miss Mom and Dad. It was a while before I heard my brother's reply. Me too. I still think Mei Ling's their mom. In the darkness of a tiny cold hospital room, I saw my brother's small back. He faced our grandfather, wizened and wasted away in front of us. His back was oddly stiff and straight. We were children then. It was the first time either of us faced what dying meant. It didn't feel real. My grandpa was portly and round, red-faced and smiling. He had a laugh that reminded me of firecrackers going off, and he had... What in the world? He had a smile that matched the sun. He didn't sleep in the dark, cold rooms. He didn't have wires and tubes stuck in his hands and throat. He didn't need machines to help him breathe or eat or live. The pale, thin, gasping body wasn't my grandpa. I didn't recognize his shadow of a person. I couldn't bring myself to look at this man who was our grandfather and not my grandpa. I pretended to look at the bags and the tubes hanging on the side of the bed, too afraid to look. But my brother was different for me. He faced our grandfather, tight-lipped but unwavering as he held onto the clawed, veined hand that was too afraid to reach for it. His eyes never left our grandfather's face. He was afraid too, but even more than that, he hated turning his eyes away from the truth. Alright guys, sounds like it's going to get real interesting really fast, so I'm going to leave it here and head on over to episode 4. Let me know what you think, because I have a feeling this is almost like it sounds like they got into an accident, or at least the two kids did. And maybe they're in heaven or judgment, or they they have to review their lives before they can move on to heaven, um, depending on what you believe in. So, all right, guys, check it out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Please leave a like, and if you do leave a like, just let me know that you left a like so I can return a message and say thanks for all that you do. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.